Hello and welcome to the first episode of Push2 A Plat Level Cap. This is for the trophy whores, the achievement whores. There is no shame, there is no disgrace here. Myself and my co-host, the wonderful CoolKidJoe, we are on the same page here. We are about the trophies, we are about the achievos, we are about leveling up, and we are here to talk this nasty business with you and help you out a little bit. So look, without further ado, can I welcome my co-host, CoolKidJoe? How are you, sir?
I'm good. What's going on, everybody?
Indeed. Well, look, what isn't going on? There are probably thousands of plats popping at the moment around the world, which is exciting. But look, before we jump in, Joe, these people, they don't know us. They're like, who are these two talking mouthpieces? What can they possibly tell me that I don't already know? So, Joe, with that in mind, who are you?
I am CoolKidJoe on Xbox and on PlayStation. I hit 1 million gamer score last February, I believe the 12th. Not 100% sure on that. And I've actually moved on to PlayStation trophies, where I'm quickly gaining those levels.
Now, well, let's be frank here. It's more than quick. Like, what level are you on at the moment, and when did you shift across?
Okay, so back in October 2019. I started making a push towards trophies. I started at a level 17. I talked to you maybe in the middle of November, I believe was the first time I actually came in contact with you, and I was a 23 at the time when we first spoke. When we did our Push to Plat podcast like a week before Christmas, I was a 27, and now it's the end of January, and I'm up to 40.
So you're flying along. That is fantastic. I love it. And look, listeners, if you don't know me, if you haven't, as Joe puts it, come into contact with me before, my name is Affectatiousdonk, Cj. I am a massive trophy whore. I am not ashamed of that at all. I'm currently a level 157 and rising up the boards with 940 plats and a ridiculous number of easy trophies. So listeners, you are in safe hands here. In fact, Joe, why don't we just get a quick plat readout for you as well? Because I feel you're going to be rising up even faster than I am in the next few weeks.
I would say so, because there's tons of backlog that you've played that I have not. So on the True Trophies, my Decade on PlayStation feature, I had 135 plats total. The majority of them came from October to December. Probably about like 60 to 70% of them. I think I had about 60. I'm not sure about that. I have 54 in the month of January currently. And we're up to 189.
This is fantastic, isn't it? So, listeners, if you're cringing now already, then this is not the show for you. But, you know, if you're one of us, and I hope you are, I really do, because it's a fun place to be, then come closer. We are going to help you. You are going to help us, and we're all going up here. It is fantastic. So just a little bit about the show before we get in. This is going to be a pure trophy achievement podcast. We are going to cover some Xbox as well, so don't feel we're only here about the PlayStation. One of my goals this year is to increase my fantastic gamer score, Joe, of 4,950. Probably a long time since you've seen a number that low.
Oh no, I get some messages all the time from people. It's like, oh, add friend, let's play Minecraft.
Yes. Yeah, I get those messages too from people that have no platinums. So now I feel like I'm like that, but I'm on the Xbox side now. So, you know, I'm in the same position to accept these people, because you never know, you might find someone like me there, listeners. So the point of this is, if you're familiar with our Push2 A Plat podcast, it's obviously a long-form conversational podcast with Mindi, where we often have guests. We delve into different parts of the PlayStation and gamer ecosystem. If something like that interests you, and that's usually around a 2-hour sort of a podcast, if something like that interests you and you're not familiar with it, by all means check out Push2 A Plat on all good service providers plus YouTube. But this will be a short format show. You'll get a bit of a feel for it today. We're going to mix it up because we're just having a bit of fun with it. But there'll always be some games here that you've probably not heard of. We're going to do our best to find these cheesy, nice, easy plats, aren't we?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Excellent, excellent. So, look, why don't we start off, listeners, with just a little bit about our setup? Because quite often I hear about how can you be earning multiple trophies at the same time? How are you doing these games? What's going on? How's this happening? This is crazy. So I thought, Joe, we could just lay it out a little bit here. Just our setups, what we prefer to play on controller-wise, all that sort of stuff. Did you want to start us off?
Oh yeah. So when I would kind of like boost on like the 360 and now probably on PlayStation, not as much because a lot of games are just single player only now. I actually have 3 televisions set up. One's a 65-inch, one's a 50, and one is I believe that one's a 24. It's always really beneficial during sports season too, so you don't get locked into watching one game too.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Oh yeah, no. What's it called? Baseball season. I usually have like 3-4 games on at a time. I whip out my tablet and.
So you're good at multitasking, yeah.
Yeah.
And as far as systems go, are you a one PlayStation? Do you have more than one system? What are you doing there?
So I have a 60 gig launch PS3, which I just turned on for the first time a couple weeks ago and finished up sound shapes. Yeah, it was bad. I have 2 PS4s. One is still sealed because it's the Spider-Man console, and then I have a Pro. I have 7 Xbox Ones, 11 360s, a Wii U, and a Switch, and 2 3DSs. And a Vita.
Oh, and a Vita. Don't forget the Vita. I love that, So look, there is no way, if you think, listeners, you're on the fringe, you're any more on the fringe than we are here. So my setup, much the same as Joe's. I run on 4 PS4s, 3 Pros, and a standard. One is for VR, although, look, I never play it, so I don't know why I haven't. I have a couple of Vitas as well. One that I always use for the Vita trick, which I'm sure we'll get into at some point down the line. One that I keep on my primary. As far as the Xbox side, I have the standard Xbox, but I also have the superior Xbox One X, Joe. It's fantastic. So with that, and as far as a monitor setup, I run 3 monitors as well as Joe. I didn't know you did that, Joe, so that's funny. I actually run 2, one on top of the other. So I find that's really fantastic for boosting. I play a lot of racing games. I like to self-boost because, people, they're just too difficult sometimes. Basically any game you're going to self-boost, if you can have 2 screens, one above the other, it makes it super, super simple as well. Or if you want to spam VNs as well. So that's a little bit. Now, what about controllers, Joe? Are you using anything crazy or just using the standard? What's going on there?
So on the PS4, I have the Alpine Green controller. That's my primary one. I just like the color of it. Nothing special. Keep it simple on the PS4. I don't have any special peripherals or anything like that. I don't have those back button paddles or anything like that because I'm honestly just kind of ripping through easy games, as you may have noticed.
Yeah.
Because I have over 50 plats this month.
Yeah, well, that's why we're here.
On the Xbox One, I actually I have the Gears 5 X console, and I actually use that controller because I'm kind of in the process of one-a-daying an achievement right now just to keep my streak alive, which is currently at 2,050 days.
Oh my goodness.
So I just use a casual controller on that. I actually really like the Gears 5 controller because it's got grippies on the back and it has grippies on the triggers so your fingers don't slip off of them as easy, even though I've never really had a problem with that, but it feels comfortable. It's a nice controller. When I do play bigger games like AAA titles, online multiplayer, I switch to the Elite V2.
Nice.
That is a fantastic craftsmanship of a controller.
Okay, so I said we weren't going to sidebar, but we're not because it's a short format. But you have to tell me here, Joe, I play on the standard Elite controller. Is the V2 a good step up, do you think?
Yeah, the triggers have the grips. There's it's got an internal battery instead of the external battery. You can charge it while it's in the case, so that's a really cool feature. It also has a wireless little charging dock where you could just plug it into the wall and rest it on the dock instead of plugging it in through a USB. That's really cool. Big fan of that. And what's it called? It's got grips on the front too. And a lot of people with launch Elite controllers have issues with the back grips coming off and having to replace them or contact them about a warranty. That one doesn't seem to have that issue. Although I didn't have that issue with my first one, and I got 2 at launch.
Excellent, excellent. They're very good at emptying your wallet, these controllers as well, aren't they? So I'll have to brace myself, I think for that. So listeners, I've used as we said, the Elite on the Xbox here. I think it's fantastic, but the V2 sounds great. So maybe it's time. I don't know. Maybe it's time. With Joe, with a 4,950 gamer score, it's clearly time that I was upgrading my controller, I feel. So on the PlayStation side, I use a ton of the standard controllers. Like, I don't know, listeners, if you find it, but I'm a new controller sort of dude. I switch probably way too early. There's probably life in the old ones. But look, when you're rubber banding controllers aggressively, when you're doing all sorts of things with them, sometimes they don't last super long. I also run a turbo controller. If you're going to be a serious spam hunter, I think it's a fantastic thing. Even if you're playing the short games, there's usually some way to manipulate it. I don't use anything fancy, just a hoary PS3 turbo controller. Look, it only turbos 1 or 2 buttons at a time, and the direction does not always work, so there's a bit of manipulation there. But look, for $20 or so, it's definitely a great thing. And look, I do embark in the dark arts of the Kronos Max, which is basically a macro recorder at times. But from my experience, it's way more trouble than it's worth. But look, down the line, maybe we'll get into that if that piece of wizardry interests you. So that is our setup. That is who we are. This is what we're doing, and we're having fun doing it, aren't we, Joe?
Yes.
Good answer. So look, why don't we start with some games? Do you want to throw something out here? Now, we're not listeners, we're not here about these AAA things, although that may come up as we go, but we're here about games that we're playing. Now, these aren't games that we've played for 1, 5, 10 minutes or whatever and want to give our opinion on. These are games that we've finished. These are games that potentially we've manipulated, or we've found tricks that have helped us out, or, from the community as well. And we want to share them with you so you can also hit this level cap, because that's what we're all after in the end, I think, Joe. So kick us off. What do you want to start with?
So this week I actually picked up Raging Loop.
Yes.
Which is a visual novel. It has a standard and a Japan stack, I believe. There are only 2, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay, and that game has a kind of like a mode or whatever, like an unlock mode where you could just unlock everything and just kind of like chapter select your way to the trophies. And I believe it takes a 20-ish hour game into a 15-minute game.
Yes. Glory to the VN guide, isn't it?
Yes.
So, look, I'm going to ask you, on a scale of 0 to highly bullshit, how much save manipulation is involved in this game?
There was no saving at all. Like, you just...
Ooh.
You kind of, like, unlock, like, the entire game and then, like, just chapter select the whole thing.
Mm-hmm. And so would you recommend this as a pretty easy VN to get into if you're not used to the art of spamming?
Yeah, I mean, like, if you're looking for something, like, real... Like, if you want, like a 10, 15-minute platinum or whatever, you want to get that, like, last, like, 12-ish%, like, on that level, and you're kind of, like, tired, it's late at night or whatever, you want to get it done, over with, right there.
This is a category that I find that no guide mentions, but this is an important category to me, Joe. Is this a Netflix VN? Can I be doing something else while I'm doing this, or do I really need to be focused on this for 10 minutes?
I believe I actually only made one choice in the whole game.
Oh, this is a Netflix VN. Excellent. I love it. Okay, you reload for your next game, and I'm going to throw one out here. And I'm going to throw out touring carts. Now, look, I love a racing game. You're not going to get further away from the racing genre than touring carts if you want the platinum. This is a game where all you have to do is right up in your first race, sit on the spawn point for the pickups and just keep cycling through them. So all the trophies are combinations of pickups. So not just one pickup, but you add the 2. So it might just involve a little bit of reversing and forwarding. Now, of course, there is some RNG on which pickups you get. To give you an idea of how the RNG sort of works here, some people have platted this in 20 minutes, some people about an hour. Usually the RNG sorts itself out within an hour, though. So we're not talking about stressful here. If you suck at kart races, you will be fine with this game. If you want to play it, it's also pretty easy and enjoyable. It does have a VR mode. It doesn't need to be played in VR. I never did. So I don't know how it goes there. One of the pickups I find to be the most RNG unfriendly, I suppose, is the shield pickups. So if you're getting the shield spawning in the section you are, make sure you try and knock out all those shield trophies. There's about, I think, 4 or 5 of them in different combinations. The great thing about this game is you don't get any trophies as you go and get the pickups at the end of the race is when they all pop. So the first time you go through, Joe, you're probably going to hit like 18 to 20 trophies in the first go, and then maybe 10, then 5, and then it starts to slow down as you get the last couple. And in the race selection or the race results screen, it actually shows you a picture of all the different combinations, and it's knocked out the ones you've already done for the trophies. So you can't get easier than this, listeners. This is fantastic, and it is a double stack EU and NA. You're up, Joe.
Okay, so the next game I'm going to go with is I played Discovery this week, or was it Brick Builder, right?
Well, I think it depends if you're buying on the Japanese or not, but I think the EU NA name overall is Discovery on PlayStation.
Yeah, so I played Brick Builder, which is the Japan version of the game, which is pretty easy. It's got 4 trophies. It's not a platinum, unfortunately, but I mean, very little effort. Walk one direction for about 8-ish minutes, sit there for like another 24 minutes, play online with someone, and open up the crafting menu, and that's it.
Well, there is that online trophy, though, isn't there?
Yeah, which that was a lot easier than I thought it was, because I figured not many people would have the Japan stack of that game, but I kind of just hit up PSN profiles, went to recent players, saw someone that didn't have it, messaged him, had it done in an hour.
Yeah.
And he was all the way across the planet, so...
Yeah. Listeners, beware of that game. It is a funny one in that there are 3 stacks of that, EU, NA, and JP, but they are region-locked, or the Japanese one is. So you do need to find another Japanese player, and it also seems to work that I think that's a game I had a lot of problems self-boosting with, so you may need another person. But as you say, Joe, it's really easy, because there's a ton of whores out there playing it.
Yes.
Perfect. You know, I feel like a sportscaster at the moment. We're just throwing out the scores. This is awesome. So next up, look, I'm going to do another 100% as well, seeing you did. I'm going to sully the waters with soccer pinball. You know, Joe, what a combination. Soccer and pinball. Do either of those things interest you?
I enjoy Rocket League, so something I'm open to playing.
Good. Well, what if I told you if you had a turbo controller, this is basically an AFK 100%? And
Ooh.
I think it's interesting now, isn't it? Yeah. So it's going to take you, listeners, around 2 hours, but it's only going to take you around 5 minutes of actual play time. So there's a couple of trophies you will have to do yourself. You have to get the 5,000 points. You have to get 9,999 points. Now, the game runs on a timing system. So it starts off, I believe, at 1 minute, but if 1 minute is not enough, and look, it's not going to be enough to get 9,999, no matter how good a soccer pinball player you are, you can up it as much as you like, 3, 5, 10, whatever, which makes that trophy really, really simple. After you've done that trophy, it's then just a matter of playing the different colors off: the red, blue, white, yellow, green, and red, and black. So that's just choosing them in the menu. Do one 1 minute game of each of those. The great thing is you can walk away if you want to just let the timer run. And then all you have to do after that is basically let the game run. So if you don't have a turbo controller here, you'll have to do this manually. And as I said, you're looking at about 2 hours. But if you do, you can just AFK turbo the X button. That'll just keep restarting the matches. And after your 100th match, you'll get that final gold trophy. There's nothing more to say about that, Joe. It's a fantastic Netflix game. What have you got next for us?
This one is not as quick as we've been talking about, but it was one of my favorite games last year, and it is actually pretty easy. And it's Plague Tale Innocence.
Oh, you're going to drop some quality on us. Nice.
Yeah. So when I played that last year, I haven't beaten it yet, but it is a pretty easy game. I think it's about 12-ish hours. It has like a very different feel to it to anything that I've ever played. Like, just like the whole atmosphere and like the stealth. The gameplay is kind of meh, but the story is like what really grabbed me into it. It's made by Asobo developed it. I don't know if you know anything that they've done, but they've done like a couple like Connect games like Disneyland Adventures and Rush and Zoo Tycoon. They'd made Fuel for the 360 and the PS3, and they made obviously a Plague Tale. And they're actually working on Microsoft Flight Sim as well. It's a good little studio. They do make some quality games. Those Connect games are actually some of the better ones as well. But a Plague Tale really fun game. It's got chapter select, so no spike in difficulty, nothing too crazy, and it has a Xbox One stack, a Windows 10 stack, and a PS4 Platinum.
It does. It does. Now, have you platted or 1,000 gamer scored it this game yet?
No, I haven't finished it yet. I'm still in the middle of it.
Perfect. So, look, I'd echo it. It is an awesome game with an awesome story. I mean, if we're going to talk about quality, I think that has to be the quality game we'll talk about today. But it's great. It is a stealth. It's more of a stealth-based game than anything else. There are some missables, but as Joe said, there is chapter select. One of the big things you need to be careful about in that game is how you distribute your resources in the skills sort of menu, if you like, in leveling up your gear. You don't need to waste any of the things on alchemy because there's no achievements or trophies based on that. If you do level that up to 1, 2, or 3, it's going to mean that potentially you will run out of resources and not be able to upgrade the sling and other things to the maximum if you're not careful. So basically, don't waste anything in that. You don't need it anyway, and put all of the others into that, and you'll get it all. Be warned though, if you finish the game and you haven't got the sling or the full upgrade trophy, when you go back to chapter select, it starts you at that chapter with the number of resources and division of resources that you had when you played that chapter. So it's not a new game plus in that it doesn't take where you were at and put it back. So then you'd have to grind through. So that would be my big tip there, Joe, I think, for that one. But you're right, it's awesome. And then look, I'm going to throw out a VN-esque sort of game as well because you did, and then otherwise I'd feel cheated if I didn't. But look, I'm going to throw out something a little bit abstract. It's another 100% game. This is the 13 Sentinels Agus Rim. Now, this is a prologue game. So if you go on the Japanese store, you will see this is quite an expensive game, and it's the actual full game. If you're looking for the prologue, which is just a 100% trophy list, you need to do some searching here. You need to go over to the Singapore store, Joe. Who would have thought there's a Singapore PSN store? But there is. This game will cost you around $8 US or so. You're looking at about an hour. Oh, I was going to say an hour, but look, people are doing it in 26 minutes. So you're looking at about half an hour if you want. It's really, really simple. You don't need a guide. All you're basically doing is clicking around the screen. I know that sounds exciting, doesn't it, listeners? Clicking around the screen, and then you'll see there'll be a green option with a triangle come up. You push that option, and you're basically linking text between the characters. Now, it is in Japanese, even though it's in the Singapore store with no English. But look, if you don't read any Japanese, disgraceful, but it's okay. You can still get the 100% in this game. There is no auto skip in this game, but you can hold R1 most of the time to fast forward it. But as I said, at coming in at around 30 minutes, it's not a major drama. Basically, there are 13 stories. You're playing through each one for the trophy. You then exit to the main menu and choose the extra story. You don't even have to play it, and the trophy will pop. Well, Joe, that was a lot. That was a lot in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
I can feel the score going up already. That's fantastic. But look, listeners, you're like, well, why didn't we talk about rat games? Why didn't we talk about the spam? Because you know about this already. But having said that, why don't we have a look, Joe, at the Ratter Platter of the week? This is a favorite for you, isn't it?
No. No, when I talk to you or whatever, like about like games and stuff like that, I'm usually pretty positive about all these games that I'm finishing. This one, not so much, and it is Foxyland 2.
What do you not like about it?
Well, the first one I liked because the controls felt like very smooth and crisp, and it was like a 15 or 20 minute platinum to knock out of the way. The only time I died was to get the trophy for dying and the achievement for dying, because I 1000'd it on the Xbox and I got a couple plats in it on the PlayStation. But the controls felt like really clunky. Like I would jump and I would just like kind of like run into like an invisible wall or whatever, and then just like fall to my death. That was kind of annoying. I had a little bit of trouble with the boss, and it's like the randomness to the spikes coming down, that kind of got on my nerves. And the coins, some of them were actually kind of like really, really well hidden, where I had to like watch a video to find them.
Mm. And the problem with the coins are you can't get the level 20 trophy or complete 20 levels without having enough coins, can you? Because you have to unlock those last levels with coins, sort of things.
Yeah, you need 36 of them.
Yeah, Yeah, that's right. Yeah. It is funny, isn't it? Did you have any trouble with the duck? I found the duck was like really sensitive. If you even got close to pushing down even slightly, it ducked.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And then, of course, it stops when it ducks. So you jump on the spot or you fall down,
Yeah.
basically. Yeah, it's great. It's great. This game strikes me as they've tried to turn Foxyland, a fantastic spam title, into a full-length game, I think, with these additions. So, you know, if you're looking for gameplay, it's probably you've come to the right place with this game. But I think it's... Oh, you know, we talked about this a little on the main podcast, but I don't think it's too bad, Joe. And I think, well, there's 6 stacks, isn't there? Have you done it a couple of times now, or just once?
I've done it twice now. The first time was brutal. Yes. The second time, not as bad.
Yeah.
Because, like, it took me a lot of getting used to, like, the controls the first time. And then, like, the second one took me probably, like, a quarter of the time. I had a lot of trouble on the boss the first time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the boss is funny. So if you're having problems with that, listeners, it runs on... Now, this is a topic for another time, but everything in video games runs on the number 3 for some reason. I don't understand why. 3, you always have to hit the boss 3 times. It respawns 3 times, whatever. So this runs on a similar premise. So the first wave, if you like, of the guy running is 3, then 5, then 7. So if you're having trouble with the spikes, I found, Joe, that staying in the center was good. He always runs first to the right when he drops down, then to the left the second time he drops down, then back to the right. So you need to be close to that wall at the end of the 3, 5, or 7 to just minimize the time to the plat, which is what we care about, I suppose, here as well. But then also the spikes tend to drop if you stand in one spot too long. So towards the end of that 3, 5, or 7 cycle, if you piss bolt or run as fast as you can to the wall that you're heading to, you can usually outrun that. And I found that last lot of spikes was the toughest, I think, when the walls came in at the final one. So look, you know, but it's not that bad. Did you do any of the secret levels?
2 of them.
Did you finish them, or did you just skip them after you'd unlocked them?
I did 4 and 9. They weren't that bad.
No, they're not that bad. You don't need to do them, though, if you want, listeners. You can just unlock it. So, look, Joe, we're coming to the end. I promise you, listeners, this is going to be short format. It's in, it's out, yeah? But one of the big things we really need to look at to inspire you and us, Joe, is... I'm going to let you say it, because we stole this from you anyway.
Yeah, so when I did my last podcast with my buds Mike, Ben, and Tyler, I came up with this segment called... what did you waste your money on? And it was something I was a big fan of because, like, we would talk about, like, tech or, like, phone equipment, game accessories, stuff like that. But I think we're just going to talk about games here, right?
Yep, I think so. I'm just wondering, did you ever think in your life you'd find yourself in this position now, just talking about cheap, easy platinums with somebody like me? What went wrong, do you think?
I don't know. I mean, like, I this is something I enjoy doing. Like, I like the grind. Yeah. I don't know why I do. Some people think it's insane that I did 1 million gamer score and now I'm grabbing trophies, but I don't know. But this week, I'm wasting my money on Kentucky Route Zero because that is a game that I want to play.
That is very high rated, isn't it, coming across from the PC?
Yeah, so I believe the first it's an episodic game, and the first episode released in 2013, and the first 3 episodes came out within a year, and then the 4th episode I think took about 1.5 to 2 years, and then this last one took about 3 years to come out, and now the game's done. So that's what I'm waiting for, because I don't want to get myself into another Blues and Bullets situation.
Yeah, look, I don't blame you at all. And that trophy list is complete as well, isn't it? The full plat list for that.
Yes. And it has a NA and a EU stack.
Well, I'm glad that you're spending your money on quality this week. Listeners, it's no surprise that I am possibly not. So I picked up Coffee Talk for this week. I believe this is it's a VNesque style game. I love the word VNesque. I don't think it's a word, but I just use it. And so basically what I mean by this is that there's a lot of text. There is a skip button if you want to play it like a VM, but it actually requires some gameplay. And of course, the gameplay is making coffees and also coffee art on top of the coffees. There are a few other drinks you can make as well. Look, it's really simple. If you want to read it, the story is, it's okay. It's fine. I think it's around 5 to 6 hours. If you're skipping it, there is a fantastic guide at my #1 guide recommendation site, Nof's Guides, which will walk you through how to make all the different types of coffees throughout. There's also a speed coffee run, if you like, a mini game at the end. But look, none of it is too difficult. So I think that was a good investment. And what I will not be spending my money on this week, Joe, is the fantastically named Ooh game. I don't know if you're familiar with this game or not on the PS4. This, listeners, is dropping very shortly. It's basically a spiral splatter game, but I think it's much harder. So if you enjoyed the spiral splatter, I reckon get on this for sure. But if you didn't, avoid this game. Some of the late game trophies in this are very, very tough. Perfect, Joe. So look, I think that's episode 1 in the can. What do you think? Happy?
Oh, yeah.
Good. You know, what I liked about what you said there, Joe, is that we do enjoy this. This isn't pretentious or bullshit. This is actually really fun for us. And I know there are many of you out there that feel the same. If you do, contact us. Tell us what you want us to hear about. We're happy to talk about any of these games that we've played before and games that we're going to do forward. We have done many sort of manipulative things with games. We know a few tricks around the traps. Reach out to us. We'd love to dive into them as we go. If you want to reach out to us, you can comment on iTunes, write us a review, give us a rating. It will be on YouTube. Do the same. It's fantastic. We'll be on all good podcast providers. We're on a separate feed to our normal full-length podcast with Mindi, so you'll have to subscribe to join us. We will have a Twitter, I believe, Joe. But for now, if people want to find us or find you, how can they do it?
So it's CoolKidJoe XBL on Twitter, at CoolKidJoe XBL.
Perfect. And look, if you want to find me, I am Affectatiousdonk on the PSN. Reach out and say hi. I do not have a blocked account. That's probably dangerous to say, but look, I don't. So tell me what you're thinking. So that's it, Joe. We're first ones in the bag. Let's turn around. Let's do it again right now, I think. Have an awesome week, listeners. Or look, if you liked it, the second episode is up now as well. Give it a try. Thanks, Joe.
Yep. Have a good one, guys and girls.